And that stuff works really quickly. I used to get chronic tonsillitis and whatnot, and like strep throat, and they started just getting shots. Giving you, well, that's what Stephanie said. Yeah. Her daughter had a shot first. Yeah. Like, yeah. They gave her the pill, but they gave her a shot.
I'm here.
Oh, there you go, Jeff.
Yeah, it's a great. I know the ticking.
I took them both out here, and they somehow magically ended up back in the environment. I took them both out. I don't know. That was really yeah, because I remember him he came out after like where's the clock?
We used to have that. Oh, there's the digital clock. So there used to be a digital clock that set like you were playing chess. Like,
oh, yeah. It does though. It has the buttons.
Yeah. At least it doesn't tick.
The clocks, one and then like the face of the clock like opens up and then it's yeah. Like I can't. Is she just so used to it? Yeah,
it's like living by train tracks. Like you don't realize it.
Yeah. She started.
So, you didn't experience it.
I did, yeah.
You got a minute. So.
James.
Oh, we did. Okay, but sometimes it takes a couple times. The panelists, if they go and connect to that one that they go to,
it just is generic and you have to promote. I think that when we're in just like the standard view inside from those, you have to accept like the invite to be promoted to panelists.
Oh, I did.
Well, once you do it, there should be a pop-up that says like the host is promoted to panelist. I know.
That was our IT guys. That was fine.
So James is online ready.
I'm promoting him to panelist. Yeah.
I think you have to say like, okay, that they like when they get the little pop-up that says they've been promoted to panelist. I think they have to click okay because it automatically like, turns your camera on and stuff. Keep doing maybe not.
Maybe that's why.
We can go ahead and start the meeting now. I think it's 7 o'clock. So I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. The September 20th, 2022 Pendleton Board of Zoning Appeals. We'll do a roll call starting to my left.
My name is Jamila.
Jerry Burmeister.
Kyle Eichhorn.
Jenny Sisson.
We know James is here.
Can you hear and speak, James?
James, can you hear us?
Well, we have a quorum. We'll proceed if he
can chat.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and proceed with the quorum. The minutes are on your drive for review, and I'll entertain a motion to approve those.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
I have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed. Minutes are passed. On to old business, condemnation hearing for 116 to 120 West State Street.
The presentation. So our building inspector did go and confirm that the building is sealed. There are some, I think on the back of the building,
The garage is being worked on currently, which is fine. But Mr. Busey has done what the board has asked as far as getting the building sealed from pests and water and wind and whatnot. So now I think really we're just moving to see the improvements or the remediations that were recommended in the engineer's report done by April. We can continue monthly check-ins as well. And I think that's really all we've got. So there's been steady work done.
Okay. So I see a recommendation on here, confirm rear building seal. So really the main building's sealed up and just onto that garage, the rear portion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think where that sawtooth window section is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
On the rear.
All right. I guess, Mr. Busey, do you want to come up and speak, provide an update? Have any questions for the board?
I couldn't hear her very well, but I think she said that the main building is secured against the elements.
Yes.
I want you to know I haven't done anything up there, which means it's been secured the entire time.
Okay.
Okay. And I am working on the back. I work on it pretty much every day. It's making, in my opinion, very good progress. It's not easy getting the job done since the town condemned my building and took away the income from the tenants for the front being condemned when there's nothing wrong with it, losing $2,000 a month. Makes it pretty tough financially. And I've always been a do-it-yourself guy to where I didn't know somebody took some new pictures. When I'm done, it's going to look nice because I'm going to do it correctly. I'm also going to do it with the things that I agree with from the engineering report. And based on that, I'd like to ask this board or whoever, when I have a question about something on those 6 pages from the engineer, who am I supposed to call?
I mean,
You're welcome to call the engineer, or if you have a general contractor that you've worked with.
No. I'm talking about, in my opinion, I should be calling Brett, the building inspector, to get his opinion. He's the one that condemned it.
He didn't create the report though. So if you need clarification on structural engineering questions, you can call Fritz. Or
So he was paid enough money to answer any question I have over the next 2 or 3 months.
That I'm not sure. I'd have to check the contract.
Okay.
Or a general engineer can interpret, or a general engineer, excuse me, a general contractor can interpret those drawings as well. They were created for, a general contractor to utilize.
I don't hire contractors.
Well, they might give you some advice on it.
Well, then the next question then is, so like whenever I don't necessarily agree with the engineer's pictures, I'm supposed to call him and get clarification from him.
If you need clarification on his.
So he
remediation.
decides when the building is available to open back up to the public, not the building inspector for the town of Pendleton.
He is one part of it.
One part of it.
Yes. Brett is not a structural engineer, but he can inspect other aspects.
He inspects everything else without getting a structural engineer involved.
If they're not structurally unsound, I don't know.
so I guess tonight we're looking for a 30-day extension on the rear as you continue to seal up the back part of the building.
Yeah, that's the goal right now.
And
Yeah.
then so we would reconvene next month.
I think it'll all be, the back will definitely be what I consider done. But I don't know, am I supposed to call the engineer and ask his permission to see if it's done?
Well,
The back of it?
I think his report pertains to the structural elements of the building, not necessarily the weather, the ceiling of the building. So you know, I assume when those repairs are complete to the rear of the building, you can get with the town. And we can do another, they can do another inspection prior to the next meeting. So that at the October BZA meeting, we can confirm that those repairs have been made. And then you'll just be left with the structural repairs based on the engineer's report to complete.
I'd like to point out that for the last 3 meetings, Brett and Scott have neither one been here for me to ask them any questions and put it on the record. They always talk to me in private. That's not right.
I mean, if
Because
you
what they
have
tell me in private is not what they say in here.
you can ask questions of this board, and if we don't have an answer, we can relay those to the town.
Okay, Thursday or Friday, whenever Brett came out, I asked him numerous questions. I've not got an answer yet on any of them. I'm at a loss here. I
You
don't know
are
what
they
I'm supposed to be
pertaining
doing.
to the engineer's report, or what? I mean,
Well, for example, every single piece of paper says, see the notes. I didn't get any notes. I would like to know whether or not the city forwarded to me every single piece of paper that the engineer gave to the city. Brett said he didn't know the answer to that either. How am I going to look at notes when I don't have them?
The engineer's report was sent to you in its entirety. The notes are the details that are on the back pages.
Back pages, not on anything I received.
It should say see notes for detail A or B, something like
Nothing.
that.
I didn't get none of that.
It's within the 6 pages of the report.
No, it
There's
says
small
see
details.
notes, but there aren't any notes.
They're illustrations.
Pardon?
They're illustrations on how the detail of the repair. is
And in that picture, it says, see the notes. I didn't get any notes. Is there anything
They're
else that,
illustrations.
pardon?
There were illustrations, maybe that wasn't the
So
correct
ignore that?
word to use, but that's what it was referencing, was the illustration, the close-up references of each repair and how it is to be properly.
Okay, well, the next question is did the engineer render an opinion as to whether or not the building is now safe for occupancy? Did you folks hire him to give an opinion? He gave an opinion the first time on the report from 2.5 years ago. He gave an opinion. Did he give an opinion this time?
Those repairs are what needs to be addressed to make it structurally sound. And then once they're all complete, he will then come back and inspect, and then he will then make a decision.
So he told you in
whether-
writing or verbally that every single one of these has to be done before it's structurally safe? He told you verbally or in
No,
writing?
that was the point of us hiring him, was to figure out. all
But he didn't write it down.
I
Should-
believe in our meeting, one of the early condemnation hearings, and we can always go back to the notes, part of the expectation of clearing the building was having the structural engineer come and do a report, a PER, and give it a thumbs up, like this is all taken care of now. So I don't think it's like midway through the process. I believe it's when all the repairs have been made. And that was what was said. Again, we'd have to look at those early minutes. But
So
there were
is the
concrete
position,
expectations.
is it the position of the board that every single item on those 6 pages have to be done before it's available to open to the public?
Well, those repairs have to be made, and the engineer has to inspect it to verify that they've been made properly, those repairs.
Every one of them,
Yeah. Everything,
without the notes?
everything detailed.
I mean, I'm just trying to be open here.
Yeah,
If he has notes and he writes down these notes and then he puts out a picture, those pictures reference those notes, but I didn't get them. Come on, people. I mean,
You didn't get the pictures, the illustrations, the attachments. I'll use word attachments, but they use the word notes. So there wasn't any reference. Like if there was a picture underneath the picture, did it say notes -1, 2, 3 or attachment 1,
well,
2,
I'm looking at the
3?
plans and I don't see where it says C note.
If you look through them, you'll find them 3 or 4 places.
I mean, it's got the repairs that need to be made, and then it has details on how to make those individual repairs. I guess if there's particular questions on what something means, then you can contact the engineer for clarification.
So I call him and ask him for his notes that he didn't give the city and he didn't give me.
Or if they're on here and they just need to be pointed out, or whatever information you need to make the repair.
Sometimes if there's notes, they're on the sidebar of the drawing where it's like drawing 1, drawing 2, but as far as I'm aware, there's none. It's just the detail pages.
I mean, it's very specific. on
Well, I
what
don't
we
know
need
if
to
it's
do here.
public record as to how much the city paid him for that,
Yeah, it
but
was discussed.
10,000 for
Yeah, it was
6
just-
pieces of paper and 2 hours of his time.
It literally
Did
tells
you really do that?
exactly what to do. Add stud here, provide pass through. I mean, it has all the details on what you need to do, exactly where you need to do it.
And you received a copy of that report, Steve, right?
But it's
So-
just the pictures. There's no notes, there's no details.
Yeah, the details are right there. It's written right next to each.
May I approach? I want to see what,
Do you have a hard
has anybody
copy?
got the 6 pieces of paper with them?
There's 5 pages here. We have the PDF.
Yeah. Hold on.
I mean, I can show you on there more than one place where it says, see the notes, but then there aren't any. I'm not trying to be unreasonable. I'm not.
You gonna
I'm
print-
trying to get
are
it
you gonna print
done.
them?
I want it to
Yeah,
look
I'm gonna print a
nice.
copy.
I want it to look nice, just like the city wants it to look nice. But I don't understand when I'm not getting everything that, in my opinion, I should get. In my opinion, he should have put it in writing that the building is condemned because of this and this and this, because I can guarantee you, I could show you something on there that ain't got a, in my opinion, anything to do with condemning the building. Nothing. And you're telling me I have to do it. Yeah, it might be a repair, but it certainly doesn't rise to the level of condemnation of the building and being unsafe to the people. My kids and grandkids are still going in there often. You think I'd do that if I was risking their life?
You remind us of that at each meeting, Steve.
I do.
I know you do.
And because I firmly believe that the building shouldn't be condemned. I think Scott got mad at me on the first day and it's just going to continue. Brett even tells me, go talk to Scott. I says, I don't have to talk to Scott. You're the building inspector. If he wants to relay something to Scott, that's between the 2 of them. Not me.
We've established at previous meetings that these repairs need to be made to the satisfaction of the engineer. The building needs to be sealed to the satisfaction of the building inspector. And then once the engineer, the town, and the fire marshal are satisfied that the building is safe, then we can consider a certificate of occupancy for the building. And we've established that in multiple meetings. Those are the 3 elements that need to be done.
I understand that's the board's position. And I don't need to tell you, you're a board of zoning appeals, not building demolitions. Zoning is what this board is supposedly does for this town.
Steve, you were in the meeting when I called the fire marshal up here, when I called the several people up here and asked them in their opinion if that building was unsafe. You were in that meeting. You heard what they
I
said.
understand that. You
As
guys-
as a board, we take their recommendation.
I understand that. I'm not arguing that point. I do understand that. 100%. But it's basic, am I incorrect? When Brett condemns it and you guys don't condemn it, you just reaffirm his decision. Is that correct?
This board issued the condemnation based upon the testimony of the engineer, the town, the fire department. And until those parties are satisfied, that's what we use to make the basis of our
Yeah, I'm not holding
determination.
nothing against you guys. You're
So-
just, in my opinion, reaffirming what Brett has told you or Scott. But I still don't understand I'm not an attorney, obviously, but I don't understand how a board of zoning has jurisdiction over something that's not zoning. Or
By
is your-
ordinance, the town of Pendleton, the town of Pendleton has designated the Board of Zoning Appeals to be the hearing authority for all unsafe building law or findings by our building commissioner. That's
Is that the attorney?
compliant with state law. Yeah, that's why the Board of Zoning Appeals has jurisdiction in this matter, Steve.
Well, thank you for that clarification. I wasn't aware of that. So all that was just for moot. I didn't know that you guys had the authority for all that other stuff besides zoning. I didn't know.
So you've got the hard copies there.
Yeah, I got it. Would you
So-
like me to show you all the places where it says see the notes and I didn't get any notes?
Yeah, I don't see where it
Yeah.
says C notes.
I mean, should someone ask the engineer for the notes? Or is that
Well,
my
if you have
job?
questions.
If you can
then-
refer to which page that you have questions about, that would be helpful.
I mean, I've already asked Brett. He told me to call the engineer. I didn't hire the engineer. You guys did.
For the benefit of the building. So if there's questions,
Well, you need to remember, Scott told me not to talk to him.
that
Right
was,
over there.
We can't
Right,
speak to what Scott said while he's not here, but
I know, that's what you said the last
The
time.
only
He's never
thing that I
here.
can see is on S4, the bottom right, the third tab up says scale as noted. So the scale. That's
So,
it.
yeah,
That's the
can
only thing I see the word note, which in this case, it's noted. The trimmer studs per plan notes above and below header. The notes are the section off to the side.
so yeah. Steve, do you have a particular note that you're
but this is-
questioning?
No, that's okay.
Right here.
If I'm supposed to call the
Trimmer
engineer,
studs
then
per plan notes. On the right, here are the notes. Double bottom plate on all stud walls.
okay, I'm glad you
16
brought that one up
nails.
because I called the engineer even though
Those-
Scott told me not to.
Those two.
I got
reference-
his assistant. His assistant said that the engineer was on vacation. I said, so what am I supposed to do? He says, well, in my opinion, ignore that. he
Ignore
told-
what?
You, glad you brought that one
The
up.
note that I just read.
The note that you just read,
That's
where it
reference.
says double bottom plate on all stud walls. His assistant told me to ignore that. I'm telling the truth here. His assistant told me to ignore that. Because the engineer was on vacation.
Well, how long is this vacation and when did you make that phone call?
Well, would have been shortly after I got these papers and started doing everything and looking through here, trying to figure out. Doesn't even tell where in the building he's talking about on any
So
of these.
did his assistant give you a date to which he was going to return from his vacation?
No,
so
I
you
haven't
could
called
make
since
a
he returned
follow-up?
from vacation because his assistant already told me to ignore that.
Nothing on these plans should be ignored without it in writing from the engineer.
But I'm not getting anything in writing. I didn't get the
Then we-
notes. I didn't get his
The notes are
opinion.
right here. You just stated you were told to ignore these notes.
I don't
I feel
know if
like
any of
we
you
are
have ever
going
built a
in
wall
circles,
before. I've built
sir.
hundreds of them. And none of them have two boards on the bottom. Yeah,
Okay.
you got two boards on the top, but not on the bottom. So I called and asked about that.
And he was out on vacation, to which the following week, you could have returned a call or you could have asked the assistant, can you have him call me upon return?
Oh, I did.
Simple solution. But you just stated that you haven't contacted him again.
Correct.
So
I can't wait for him to return from vacation. I got to come in
That's
here
why
and
I
face
asked,
you guys
What
every
date
month.
did you make this phone call? So we
Pardon?
can know how long ago that contact was made.
Well, if it gets to the point where I need to write down every little thing and detail when I made phone calls, it's getting pretty sad.
Okay, so then in your estimation, was that a month ago? Was that
Well,
2
it would have
months
been
ago?
within a week after I got this mailed to me from the city.
Okay, so he's probably been back from vacation and you could have called, but now.
Do you know
can
how many
call-
walls I've already built in the past 2 weeks? I can't wait for him to come back. His assistant already told me to ignore that.
Okay. his assistant did not put this together. He did. Clearly, the notes are right here to be referenced.
I mean, if things weren't built per plan, it'll come to light in the report after it's complete, so.
Correct.
So I'll get back to the agenda here. So I believe all the notes are on the
Mhm.
plans, it appears. So if you have additional questions, you need to talk to the engineer. So we're gonna entertain a motion to extend the building seal for 30 days for the rear of the building. So we'll see you next month to confirm that those repairs are made. And then we'll get an update on repair progress based on the engineer's report next month. And the civil penalties been postponed until April, so.
Yeah.
That all makes sense? So seal up the building, continue to make the structural repairs. When you have the repairs made,
Notify the city.
notify the city and the engineer will come back out and re-inspect, and then we can move forward.
Does he need to be notified when the building is sealed or just wait till it's all done?
Notify the city when the building's sealed prior to the next meeting, so that at the October meeting, we can check that off the to-do list. So the engineer is not responsible for the sealing, just the town. So when you have that all sealed up on the back, call the town and let them know
Okay,
prior to the next BZA meeting, and so we can address that at the next meeting.
okay.
So, and then when the
I'm serious.
when the
I'm
structural
trying.
repairs are done, contact the city, town, and they'll schedule the engineer to do a final inspection of those repairs.
So when I have easier questions, I just call Brett? Or do I call the engineer for everything or what?
I mean, if you have,
Something that's not structural, Brett is not a structural engineer. So-
yeah, if you have questions pertaining to these details or notes or what to do on these plans, you can contact the engineer. If you have other general questions regarding the sealing of the building or building code questions, you can contact the town.
Okay. I don't know if any of you have driven by, but if you look closely, you'll see that I'm, in my opinion, doing the job correctly. And it's going to look real nice when I'm done. It just doesn't make sense, all the things that are happening. I mean, Brett told me the other day, he doesn't even want to deal with it at all. That I should call Scott and the engineer because he don't want to mess with it. That's what he told me.
All right, thanks, Steve. All right, so I'll entertain a motion unless there's further discussion from the board or anybody online from the public has any comment. Any other board discussion? James, you're on there.
He's heard everything.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm hearing everything and I'm on. Have been
Okay.
on.
all right. With that being said, I will entertain a motion to extend the deadline for sealing the building to the October 18th, 2022 BZA meeting.
I make a motion to extend until the October meeting.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. And I'll also entertain a motion to reconvene at the October meeting with an update on the structural repair progress.
I make a motion to reconvene at the next meeting on the structural progress.
Do I have a second?
James seconds.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion carries. Is that it for the agenda?
Yep.
All right, meeting adjourned.
Good night. Good night, all.
Yeah, yeah.
It's our district.
Yeah.
Pendleton, LaPel, Ingalls, and Markham. It's a fourth
Yep, we
district.
just got them all uploaded and organized.
Yeah, it's pretty much everything.